Hello, and welcome back to the Officials Institute and our next segment of Rule Review. Today, we will be discussing closely guarded, a rule that is typically given less attention than other rules. However, it's actually quite important that we rule this properly because in today's game, where freedom of movement is given so much attention, we really need to reward defensive players for guarding their opponents successfully in a legal manner. So, without further delay, let's get started. In this first clip, we see the offensive team in a standard holding pattern, waiting for a last-second shot, and the offensive player in the corner holding the ball, with no intention of moving until the referee starts a closely guarded count. So what should we look for when considering whether a player is closely guarded? The first requirement we look for is distance. The opponent needs to be within 6 feet of the player who is holding or dribbling the ball. But how do we measure this distance, as there's several different reference points we can use? Rule 410 tells us that the distance shall be measured from the forward foot of the defender to the forward foot of the ball handler. The last part, and probably the most difficult, is judging what 6 feet is at any particular spot on the floor. The semicircle at the division line and the free throw line are two reference points we can use to help assist us in determining a 6-foot distance. A player's height is also a good reference to use. If you think a player is about 6 feet, then imagine that player lying down and the distance it would be between him and his opponent. Even with all these reference points, it is unrealistic to believe that every official will have an exact 6-foot measurement equal to each other in every situation. So it is important that we use the not closely guarded signal to signify to everyone that we do not believe the player is within 6 feet. After the not closely guarded signal is given, another is not needed until the player comes within 6 feet, at which point you start your count. Let's go ahead and look at it again. In this play, we see the official correctly identify a closely guarded situation, and after counting 5 seconds, blows his whistle and calls a closely guarded violation. If we take a closer look, however, we'll notice as the player is dribbling trying to elude his defender, he gets his head and shoulders past his defender here, at which point the closely guarded count should be terminated. Let's look at it again. In our next clip, we see the ball handler dribbling the ball around, back and forth, trying to continuously beat his defender to avoid the 5-second count, only to have the official blow his whistle for a closely guarded violation. When we break this play down and look a little bit closer, we see here the player is closely guarded. But as he dribbles down and moves his head and shoulders past his defender, he no longer becomes closely guarded and the count is terminated. As he dribbles down and is picked up by a new defender, a new count begins, and that count will continue even though the players change because they continuously kept within 6 feet of their opponent. However, the dribbler once again gets his head and shoulders past the defender, breaking the closely guarded count. And as he pulls up and the defender reestablishes his position, a new count again is started. And since this is a new count, it would not be possible for a full 5-second closely guarded violation. Let's watch it one more time. In this last play, we see what appears to be a closely guarded situation, yet there is no count by the official. Let's take a closer look and break this play down. As the offensive player gets the ball, the defender establishes a guarding position within 6 feet of his opponent. Taking note of the clock, it is at 5:46 when this player establishes this closely guarded position. And as the dribbler tries to move away and make a move towards the basket, the defender maintains a distance within 6 feet and does not allow the dribbler to get his head and shoulders past him when finally reaching a count of 6 before the offensive player passes the ball away. This should be ruled a 5-second closely guarded violation. Let's watch it one more time. That was closely guarded. Hopefully you find it helpful and can use it next time you're on the court. Until then, have a good game.